You are listening to Season 2 of The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, the short and often daily podcast in which I chronicle my life and attempt to be a writer by writing daily. Sometimes. Hello, today is Wednesday the 19th of February 2025. You are listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, and I can actually report some more success. Yeah. Tedious, isn't it? I haven't done an excuse podcast in ages. So, obviously last night I said I was a bit tired and I wasn't going to do any more that evening. And then I said I had to go and have something to eat. I think I said that. Anyway, I did. After I'd recorded the podcast, I went to a little 24-hour restaurant. Yes, that's right, because I remember telling you about it. So I went to the restaurant and I had my iPad with me. And one of the reasons I didn't want to do the paper edit, is that I like doing that in one sitting. I feel you get a feel, as it were, for the whole chapter. So I like to do that in one go, and I wasn't going to do it last night because I was too tired. But I did have the iPod with me, and I did start looking at chapter 42. Now, chapter 42 it has got the same scene breakdown that I'd envisioned for the epilogue, and as such, I'd written some words, about 1,700 words for it. And so what I did over my food was sit and start revising that material. I only wrote it earlier in the month, but there was a few things already that I needed to change slightly. So I rationalised, I described Adrian's house very differently in the original version of the chapter. You know, he lived in a proper house in the town. Then I thought, well, no, if he's actually working on the fields as a farmer, then he'd probably kind of live out that way. So that's what he did. So I changed the descriptions of the place so it matched what I'd already established in chapter 41. But then most of the rest of it was just a case of deleting stuff. So I'd mention Marianne and then say, oh, and they were having this problem, that problem, and they didn't know what was going on with Mackenzie. And of course, I've now established that through the narrative of chapter 41. So a chunk of it was just taking out some bits and pieces that no longer needed to be there because they were established in the bit I'd already written, and changing some bits. So basically I've now got about 2,000 words. So I've edited out all the unnecessary bits and pieces and all the stuff that didn't work. Well, it's not that it didn't work, it's just that, it was contextually incorrect given what I'd put into chapter 41. And so I've got, as a result of last night, if I'd recorded the podcast later, I could have said, I've done a couple of thousand words of chapter 42. I'm a little bit conflicted about what to call the chapters, because I've called chapter 41 After, and I want to call chapter 42 Ever After. And is it right to have a chapter called After immediately followed by a chapter called Ever After? Well, I'm going to do it anyway. I don't really care if it seems appropriate or not, but it seems all right. So I've written the first couple of thousand words of chapter 42, which is the final chapter. And then I really slept bloody terribly last night. It was, I'm not quite sure why, because I was tired. Obviously, I'd had a long day. I'd done the flight from Sydney to Singapore. So I ended up waking up at about 10 o'clock in the morning, local time here in Singapore, which is, I was hoping to get up at 8 and go and do stuff. But I didn't. And then, so I then woke up at about 10, had a shower and stuff and thought, right, what's the one thing I really want to achieve today? Well, it's the sign-off, the paper edit of chapter 41. Even though I'd done a bit of work starting chapter 42 yesterday, I still haven't signed off 41. And I did it. I did a live stream. It was about 3.5 hours long. And I got all of that signed off and edited out about 400 or 500 words. I would have changed a lot more, but it ended up about 400 or 500 words shorter than the original draft, the original text. But so I've done it. So chapter 41, first draft, admittedly, is signed off. I did it on a live stream, and it's done. I have the physical paper copy with all the notes scribbled on it, which will go into the folder, back into the folder with the rest when I get home. So actually, that's pretty good. Now, I was hoping to get a bit more written today, but because of the lack of sleep, the tiredness has caught up with me. It's about 8 o'clock, 8:20 local time as I record this, and I'm going to bed, which is pathetic, I know. So I'm hoping I'll wake up quite early tomorrow morning and maybe have a little writing session tomorrow morning, because it'd be quite nice to get the next couple of scenes done. But yeah, I feel I'm sort of back on track. I feel I've got a chance of finishing this first draft by the end of this month, which is my target. I haven't had any more rejections through on submissions for the English hikikomori, which actually is probably not a good sign. It probably means that the agencies are ones that, so some of them won't give you a response. They basically say if you haven't heard from us within 3 months, you can take it as read that we're not interested. So it might mean I'm not doing any more submissions for 3 months, which would be a bit of a shame, actually. So I might give it another couple of weeks, and then if I haven't heard anything, I'll assume that they've said no and submit it to some more. But anyway, so pretty successful. It'd be really nice if I can get another, say, couple of thousand words written tomorrow before I fly home back to England. Anyway, that's me done for today. Thank you for listening. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
You have been listening to the Diary of a Wannabe Writer. For more information about what I'm writing, go to linktr.ee/Richard Writes, capital R, capital W, where you can find details of my website and social media. I may see you there.